buddy Smokey again, and I'm going to talk about using your environment as a way to generate ideas. Because there's going to be points where, you know, you're on a jam, you're on a set, whatever kind of thing you're doing, and you're working as an improvising musician. So this isn't going to apply to something where, you know, you've written songs and, you know, your solo's predetermined, or cover band stuff where, you know, you already know what you need to play because you're going to play the same thing 1,000 times a week. This is for improvising, or when you're creating a solo, or you're creating a riff and you're just kind of feeling stale. Don't worry about, like, oh, I can't come up with anything, because your environment is feeding you constant ideas. One of the things that helped me, also being a percussionist, is that rhythm is a thing that really inspires me when I'm feeling stale. I won't be thinking about notes, I'll be thinking about rhythm, and then I'll just pick a note, and then I'll hear something from there. You know, if you can't necessarily generate in your head right off the bat, there's something around you feeding you. And in the loop, I got a little thing, and the rhythm, I tapped out on the guitar, and then it's more of a D mixolydian kind of thing, but the rhythm would be like... And say, you know, you're playing a groove, and you're on the stand, and, you know, it's your turn to go, and you got no idea. That rhythm that the drummer would be feeding me is usually the first thing I listen for, again, because I'm also a percussionist. But so we've got this boom, boom, da, go, get go, 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 and somebody goes, "Okay, Smokey, it's your turn, go," and I can't think of anything. I'll wait. Doing there was I was being affected by that boom boom da boom boom da, and so okay, there's my rhythmic motif to start with, and I was doing that in a D major pentatonic, sorry, not minor, major pentatonic over that D mixolydian being the mode 5 of the major, so we're really playing G major over that, if you're going back to the quick little mode thing I'd done. But the rhythmic element is what's going to kick me off first, I mean, for myself personally. And when I don't have necessarily a melodic idea ready to go, because there's going to be points, I mean, let's all think about it realistically, you just may not have an idea at the moment when they point at you and say, "Hey, your turn." Don't do that. The environment around you is feeding you all kinds of information that you get to bounce off of. And being inspired by what's going on around you also opens up avenues for you as an improviser, because it may not be something that you were having incepted internally. You then get to react, and it's a great situation when you get to play with people that you get to react to. It makes really great music. It's a very personal way for musicians to communicate with each other without words, and that's the kind of thing that, you know, we respond to as artists, is that interplay. Even when actors are on a stage with each other or in a film, I've always been told by actors that your job isn't to be there for yourself, but the part that you give and the lines that you speak are actually to set up the next guy. You know, and you're there to share and support them. And that's how I feel as a musician as well, especially in an improvising situation, that the things I do, even if it's my solo, should support the accompaniment. I fortunately get to work with some people, and a lot of the same people I've been working with for years, and we have that rapport built up with each other. You know, I listen to what they're doing before I start, and that feeds me an idea to start to run with. And they'll hear something I do and react to it, And it really makes for some wonderful music, because even though it might be my solo, it's not necessarily about me. It's about what we all do together in those moments to help create something. And then when it's my turn to back up the other guy, I lay out. I listen to what he's doing first before I do anything, you know. And like I said, I've been really blessed with having a lot of people like that. So yeah, the rhythmic idea of one of the other things I was doing there was sort of breaking up time. So we'll start a little loop here with just 4 on the floor. And you should have this clock within yourself. But knowing the pulse internally, tap your foot, man. I've been told that it's not hip to tap your foot. No, tap your foot. I know a lot of really hip people that tap their foot. It's their clock, and they feel the pulse of what's happening around them, and that's their physical way of locking in. And I think being physical when you play helps lock that in. You watch a good funk band, they're all moving together, and that's why that tightness is reinforced, because physically they're together as well, not just mentally. But getting back to breaking up time is, and I'll be doing this in the D major pentatonic, Mixolydian G major thing that we're doing here, is 1, 2. Now I'm feeling that, you can go. I'm going to come back to that pulse, but I get to play and stretch and work around. That's the idea. I'm just going. I'm feeling that. So that's another way to break up what you're doing as well, is rhythmically. Play with the time, but push and pull and stretch and turn around the thing, as long as it's making sense in the phrasing that you're doing. But if you don't have that internal clock set, and you can't feel what's happening, it doesn't work. It won't work. Then you're just going to sound lost, because you are lost. So, have a good internal clock. One of the exercises that I had done, and I picked the idea up from Mick Goodrick's book for the advancing guitarist, and find it, because it's not just about being a guitar player, it's about being a musician who plays guitar. It's really insightful. The exercise was, sit while you're practicing, turn on your metronome, set a pulse, and feel it, and turn it off, and then turn it back on. And when you've turned it off, you keep feeling that pulse, and when you turn it back on, are you in time? I had a metronome that had a headphone jack, and in college, walking to and from class and things like that, instead of a Walkman, I had that metronome. I moved in time. I walked in time with the metronome, and I'd go sit in class, and I would walk out of class, put the headphones on, and be like, all right, do I still remember what 1:30 feels like? Boom. And I'd either be right or I'd be wrong. And after a while, I was right more times than not. I'm not going to say I'm perfect, or that I ever was, but it helped. So having that internal clock is hugely important, because when you're on the stand with other people, time is not something that's dictated by one person. It's something that is felt by everybody and agreed to. So anybody that, time is a consensual event. We agree upon it, and then we protect it. I've had debates with drummers about, like, well, I'm the timekeeper. No, you're not the timekeeper. We're the time sharers, and we have to protect that. We all have to agree upon that shiny center that we all swing around. And having that internal clock means that you're in agreement with the other people, and if everybody else has good internal clocks, then that beautiful, magical, deep thing that happens when everybody's in that pocket. But being able to work around that pulse is really a nice creative thing, and is also a great way to, put things inside of you you can then draw upon later in terms of inspiration for improvising. So, ba da 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 ba da ba da bo da bo da bo ba 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 da 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 ba ba da da So there it is. Play with time, get a good clock going, work with a metronome, and just simply helping you solidify your own internal clock. Hopefully that helps some. And working off of rhythms is also a great way to inspire yourself when you're feeling dry. So this is your buddy Smokey. You got any questions? Of course, you know where to put them. Just go ahead and smear them all over the goddamn place, and I'll be happy to answer. Or, email me or hit me up on my Facebook, and just, poke and prod. If you got any ideas about things that you have questions about, then shoot them at me, and hopefully I got something I can help you out with that'll help you find your path in all of this. Because by all means, I'm not telling you anything I'm doing is for you to do. It's just the ways I've helped myself break out of my own ruts, and hopefully this will help you break out of your own ruts without having to tell you this is the way it's done. I just know what helped me, and hopefully that helps you. So, talk to you later. Thanks for hanging out. It's your buddy Smokey.